The Flintstones episode, Lost Pilot, began with the shot of the Stone Age, a small town of Bedrock, home to Fred and Barney Flintstone and Rubble and their families. It was a sunny day, and the citizens of Bedrock were happily going on about their day, not realizing the wild adventure they would have to experience. As for the theme song the Flintstones played, the camera pulled away from Bedrock and zoomed around the countryside. All seemed normal until it happened. An alien spacecraft descended from the sky and, within a loud whoosh, landed in the middle of Bedrock. The citizens of Bedrock were aware in shock and confusion at the craft opened its doors and four strange aliens emerged. Fred and Barney were especially shocked, having never seen aliens before. The aliens looked nothing like the people of Bedrock, and their strange behavior was just too much for Fred and Barney to take. The aliens soon revealed that they were not here to cause trouble. Rather, they were lost and needed directions back home. Fred and Barney decided to come to the aliens' rescue, and the foursome set off on the adventure of the aliens on the spacecraft, on an extraordinary journey throughout time and space. As they went, they encountered a host of hazards, from dinosaurs to mechanized robots. Fred and Barney overcame with each challenge of their wits and courage, and eventually the foursome returned to Bedrock, safe and sound. Despite their adventure, the aliens still had not found their way home. But just as Fred and Barney were feeling sad, a voice from beyond spoke out. It was the aliens, distant home, calling out to its location. The aliens thanked Fred and Barney that they have turned around and flew away to a strange water-spanning destination. From that day on, the Flintstones family had a special place in their heart for the Lost Pilot episode of the Flintstones. Although the citizens of Bedrock may have never seen aliens again, they still told the stories about the adventure, reminding everyone that you never know what amazing things awaits for you just around the corner. The episode in question was the very last of the show's 3-year run, and the premise of the what first felt like a harmless one. Wilma Flintstone's long-lost twin sister had suddenly arrived in town, claiming that she was sent from a far-off kingdom to act as an ambassador of goodwill. Fred and Wilma were naturally delighted to have Wilma's twin around, and as the two sisters had a blast together, shopping and catching up on the years that had passed since they had last seen each other. However, things then took a dark turn when the visiting twin began to reveal some horrific details of the land that she had come from. She had spoke of a tyrannical king who kept the populace in fear and poverty, in a penal system that literally tortured offenders, of all the cruel games such as the people who were forced to complete for their amusement of ruling the class. These unsettling revelations horrified Fred and Wilma, and in the viewing audience, leading to the network quickly to take the episode from rotation. Although it only had aired once, it still struck with nerve to the audience, and they were quickly banned worldwide. In the years since that episode became a fascinating footnote in the TV history, it served as a reminder of the power of TV to challenge our beliefs and grapple with the difficult themes. It also reserves as a cautionary about how easy art can cross the line without offensiveness, even if it's only never, or only, in this case, only ever aired once. The year was 1994. There was an abundance of excitement in the air around the globe. A live-action movie based on the classic Hanna-Barbera cartoon show from the 60s called The Flintstones was set to release very soon. Everyone was eagerly anticipating the arrival of this film, and the cast did not disappoint. Fred, Wilma, Barney, Betty, and the entire gang brought the characters to vivid life, displaying their unique personalities and antics on their way that have never been seen before. But what fans did not know about that there was an alternative version of the movie that was supposedly to be even better than the one that ended up being released. Unbeknownst to the people, it was the longer version of the film, with more storylines and extended jokes and gags that were cut from the eventual film before its theatrical release. The lost film of the Flintstones movie quickly became the stuff of the legend. People started to speculate whatever could have been seen on screen, to which it served as only fuel to the fire of anticipation before this supposed release. Rumors of its existence slowly began to spread around underground, and the cults began gather a bunch of people determined to find the film so they could watch the longer version of this classic on the big screen. One day, a particular stranger attended a Flintstone screening in disguise, whispering mumblings along the lost flick to those gathered around afterwards. But once his identity was revealed, nobody could believe their eyes. It was none other than the director of the film himself. The film director explained that there was indeed an extended version of this movie that was never saw the light of day. But before the audience could begin to get their hopes up, he added a major caveat. The extra footage from the film had extended but cut had been destroyed, could never have been recovered. The Flintstones movie was a classic, and that became a cherished part of our pulp culture. But while the world was blessed with the version that it was released to the public, it's impossible to not wonder what could have been happened with the lost version of the film. The alternative ending of I Yabba Dabba Doo begins at Pebbles and Bam Bam's wedding reception. As the guests mingle and celebrate the illusion, suddenly a darkness sweeps over the room, and an eerie rush falls over the room. All the guests gaze in wonder. For those on screen, Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble appear. Startled, Pebbles and Bam Bam turn to Fred and Barney, who have rather a disgruntled look on their faces. Fred, as his face is serious, draws closer and begins to speak. After our own wedding, Wilma and I had to take a choice. Go through it with the secret we were asked to keep by the powerful, mysterious Giggle Puffin. Then Barney steps in to finish the story. You see, my dear Pebbles, for years Giggle Puffin has been holding on to a precious item, a gemstone, and she was fearful that it might find its way into the wrong hands. So she asked us to make sure that it stayed safe, and that it was in the making and the premise that Wilma and I had to choose, our knowledge or yours. Everyone in the room was stunned. Fred explains that it was a time Wilma and that he chose not to tell Pebbles the truth, that the gemstone was in fact the great Gazo's flowing fountain of youth. The explanation about the gemstone's powers, its ability to transport one into any time and place, and why it remained a secret, was to given the wedding guests. The great Gazo, however, appears soon in the room and informs the couple of their guests that the fate of the following fountain now lies in the hands of Pebbles and Bam Bam. When they asked on which who should do it, the great Gazoo explains that the couple must choose, keep the gemstone a secret, or use it to make their own lives better in ways they would never have dreamed of. Conflicted but ultimately brave, Pebbles and Bam Bam chose the latter. With a few magical words, a smile, and a nod from the great Gazoo, the couple were suddenly transported away into their new life they would never have known without the flowing of fountain. The alternative ending of I Yabba Dabba Doo concludes with a happy, smiling Fred and Barney proudly stand in the middle of the room, staring up at the couple that were just moments ago, and they apart from the movie, just two strangers. Rockabye Baby was a long-awaited sequel to the original Flintstones movie for TV released in 1993 called I Yabba Dabba Doo. It gives fans of the original a chance to see their favorite characters and experience an all-new adventure. The plot of Holly Rockabye Baby centered around Pebbles and Bam Bam expecting to have a baby, who were about to be born almost amidst to the excitement. In the original version of the movie, the birth went smoothly, and Pebbles and Bam Bam were welcomed their new twins into the world with lots of love and affection from their families and friends. But then, a strange phenomenon occurred. Fans of the movie began to hear rumors of an alternative version of the birth scene, and that was left on the cutting room floor. This alternative version, significantly more dramatic than the one seen in theaters or on TV. It featured an intense rock slide that threatened the safety of Pebbles and Bam Bam, until Fred and Barney used their wits to guide them to safety. The mysterious alternative birth scene captured with the imagination of fans from the movie. Pebbles wanted to know why the studio decided to omit it, but was too dark and too violent for the kids' movie? Or was there other factors that kept it from making it to the final cut? The answer still remains a mystery, but what will never be forgotten was the impact of this lost scene on that it had on the Flintstones fans. It had remembered a unique example of Flintstones mythology, proving that something as simple as a baby's birth can be captivating, epic in animation. The year was 2000. The world awaited for brave of the release of the sequel to the 1994 Flintstones live-action movie. The anticipation of the Flintstones was Viva Rock Vegas was unquenchable. As the movie's release day approached, rumors began to swirl around its darker tone and the more mature storyline compared to its preceders, stroking every of the already in the high expectations for fans around the world. But as the movie premiered, it's mixed with critical reviews that quick to put out to die-hard fans excitement. It was not the sequel that they were expecting. Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas had been taken in a poor direction, steering away from what made the original movie so great, instead simply trying to eliminate the successful formula of the first one. It had dropped to a darker and richer characterization from the first movie, and instead focused entirely on the silly jokes and the expense of its plot. As a result, the movie had tanked at the box office and quickly disappeared from the public's conclusions, losing a significant amount of money for the studio. Eventually, later on, it got to the infamous title of the worst sequel in the history of cinema. Years later, the story of the Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas still serves as a cautionary tale for the studios that are too eager to make a quick buck at the fans' expense. They all learned that the hard way, the audience as well, not accept the subpar sequel. Regardless of how much the original movie was loved, that was never been seen to the public again. The original darker movie of this film.